Hey everybody, and welcome back for the trade recap on the 3rd of August, the Thursday. So I'm going to do a little different. Instead of GU, we're talking about EU again. And the reason I want to talk about EU is because it has some really nice complex price action, which will aid you in understanding how structure and multi-time frame analysis on structure really can help you stay out of the trades. And also understand how and the power of the complex structure, right? So if you can understand the complex nature of structure, when it does present itself, you know what to do, right? So let's get to it. We have our daily chart, and the daily chart is the most cleanest that I see right now, right? So we had the nice break of structure, a nice pull impulse, and then we are right now in the pullback phase. The strong low is over here, and we are currently in this nice little demand zone on the daily. The price, if you look at this last candle here, this little candle, there was not a lot of movement on price today. You can tell the candle was quite small, unlike those big candles right here where there's a lot of movement in price, and that's where you want to capitalize. But not a lot of movement, however, still enough to give us quick trades on lower time frames. But I mean, price over here can react to this demand, start pushing up. A price could come a little bit deeper into this refined pivot on the demand and then react, or price can keep trickling down all the way until it breaks structure and the whole thing turns bearish, right? So we don't know. Let's go back to 4H. So what do we have on 4H? Right here. So we came in this morning at about, today's the 3rd, right here. Yeah, so price has come in 9 at this point in time. So it had come in into our demand zone, and if we look at structure, right? So this is the larger swing structure, right? And it helps how I've done the marking because it makes sense to me, and maybe you might want to copy this to help and aid you on understanding what structure is doing on the time frame that you are on. This is the big impulse leg, right? And this is your pullback that we saw on the daily. The impulse is pretty straightforward, but look at the pullback. The pullback is pretty corrective, right? So we have constant break of structures, internal break of structures, right? And the last break of structure is when this was the impulse. We had the 4H IBOS, internal break of structure. Came in here, it did not quite mitigate, I believe it was a couple of days back, to the EQ, a little below the EQ of this impulse leg, but it was enough for to react to this daily supply and then sort of move downwards. It came in, right? Did have a certain reaction to this demand that you see over here on the pivot on the 4H. And the reason why this demand was important is because this demand did create some level of structure break, right? So at the minimum, we saw a chalk happen when this bull candle broke the high wick of this bearish candle, right? That's when the chalk happened, because this low broke this low broke this low, and we look at the highest point on the candles, and it turns out that this is higher than this is higher than this, so it makes sense that the wick of this bearish candle is the chalk line. So once that happens, there is definitely some orders there because it's a valid demand, and we did have a small reaction to it, right? So it reacted, and also it reacted to this little 4H I chalk, I say, because this was responsible for creating a chalk on an internal of the internal structure. Anyways, price went up here and then it broke. So when this low got broke, we have another IBOS, right? Change of structure. So what is IBOS telling us? IBOS is telling us that similar to the swing structure, if this low breaks, what is the highest point that broke this low? It's right here, right? So this would be our 4H, if I mark it out, 4H internal strong leg. Let's, so we have strong internal, okay? That's our 4H at that point in time, right? So this broke, and that's where we are. And then we came in this morning on the 3rd and 9 over here. And price has been trickling down, right? So nothing really going on internal on the 4H. Maybe at this point in time, this late into the session after New York is almost closing, we see that there is a level of chalk, internal chalk, and there is some demand over here, but really nothing that I would concern myself with over here. Let's go to 15 minutes now, which gets a little bit more interesting. Okay, so on the 15-minute, and we'll walk through price. Let's do that. We had the 15-minute break of structure where we had it over here yesterday, so that meant that the strong 15-minute leg was over here, right? Because this low broke, so this flip zone broke this low, and the highest point that broke this low was where this. So this was the strong 15-minute swing high. Broke that structure, and we started getting a pullback, and this is what we will talk about now. We did have eventually a 15-minute pause, which changed the story, but let's focus on the current price action for today. What happened? So when we came in at this point in time, the structure broke. What do you see? And let me get my tool here. We started getting a pullback, right, over here, but the problem is that this low, the fractal low, is where this low broke, this low broke, this low broke, this low broke, this low. So the fractal low is over here. And there were some trades that you could have possibly entered, and I stayed away, is because the structure did not make high probable sense to me. We came into a daily supply zone. The 4-hour refined is over here, nested within the daily. The fractal range is over here, right? So this is your 4H internal strong, the high. So we are bullish. Everything is bullish at this point, right? So we have the swing bullish on the 15-minute. We have bullish 4H internal. We are still we are bearish on the. I keep saying this. My thoughts are faster than I can speak. My apologies. So the 4H internal is bearish. The 15-minute swing is bearish. And the 4H right now is bullish because we haven't broken the low. We've just come into the supply of the extreme. If that breaks, then we have turned into a bearish 4H swing, but it hasn't happened yet. So 4H swing is still bull. It's going upwards, but everything else is bearish, and it has been bearish for the last couple of days, right? So your internal is bearish, your strong is here, and your weak is whatever low point over here would be, right? So when price came back and started reacting to this, right? So at this point in time, everything is weak, right? Because this low is weak because this low did not break anything, right? It did not achieve anything. What did it do? It stayed within the range and it did not break anything. So if this low broke this like that and it took that high out, this would have been strong, right? That would have meant that we have switched our bias from bearish to bullish, but it did not. So at this point in time, I'm anticipating that this low is weak. Now, let me get this out of the way and draw this again one more time. So when this came up over here, we came back down, right? We came back up, we came back down. We swept all of this liquidity over here, right? And then we had the 15-minute internal IBOS, right, at this point in time. So this low, right, so price pushed up, pushed down, pushed up, and then we had this low broken by the liquidity grab from all of these highs, and then it broke the structure. Now this internal 15-minute IBOS, right, is the internal of the internal, if you know what I mean. Because the larger internal, this low did not achieve anything. So for me, this high is weak because it did not achieve anything, and it is not confirmed because it did not break any low. It just came in and broke this internal low. And this low is weak. So this high is weak for me, and this low is weak because this low did not achieve anything on the larger internal structure, right? So what I'm trying to say is here that you have to really understand what is the swing, the internal, and sometimes the internal of the internal structure is telling you. So this is the larger internal, right? And this is the smaller internal that is happening. Now, there is a zone over here, which is a high probability, well, it is a valid zone, right? And it is a valid zone. Why? Because it was responsible for breaking some level of internal structure. It broke the zone, came back up, came all the way down into this little supply. But again, this supply, what has it achieved, right? So if I were to draw a box out here, on the 15-minute, what did this supply achieve? Granted, there was a reaction to it, but what did it achieve? It did not achieve a fractal high. It did not break anything. So for me, this is the most extreme low probability to put any sort of trade idea over there, right? And even if I had a confirmation entry, what am I trading to? The distance over here is fairly short from my risk to reward ratio. So I'm not interested at this point in time to take trades over here. I want to be pro, right? So pro meaning that I want to get shorts from high probability areas. So price then came up over here. It did not really touch this POI, this refined POI, and started falling down. So when it fell down, right? So if now I'm looking at this impulse lag, right? So we are the internal. So this is 15-minute eyeballs. We are, forget this for a minute because this is because we broke structure over here, but let's remove this, right? So if we are 15-minute eyeballs at this point in time and price, and this is not there, what happens? This over here is our high. This over here is our strong. Give me 1 second. Our strong internal, right? Internal of the internal. When this breaks, now this is our strong, right? Because this broke this structure, so technically this internal of the larger internal should hold. Price did react to it, it did not touch it, and then it came further down. So when you had another internal structure break, what happens? Your price comes here, right? So this is your internal of the internal, which is why I have that 15 minutes eyeballs here. So let me get rid of that. And when price comes in, it sweeps all of this information right here. It sweeps the leg over here and then comes back. So there is definitely valid trades over here, and we're going to go over it. Price sweeps this low, grabs all of the liquidity at this low, and gives us a bullish reaction. So now, when we are in this point in time, this high was able to break some level of internal structure, but our larger internal is still, there is nothing broken, right? So we are still strong over here. We're still over here, and we haven't really selling in from the EQ. We haven't really mitigated anything on top, which is why I was waiting, not to trade from here, but I was waiting for something to happen over here. And then price went up, came over here, did some reaction. So it did break this 15-minute high boss internal strong. Once it breaks this internal strong, what happens? Now we have misalignment, right? We have a 15-minute weak low, because if you look at the larger leg, let me pull that out. You have the 15-minute boss. You have the pullback, came into the EQ of this range, close enough to EQ. And then you have the break of structure. So once you have the break of structure, 15-minute boss, this is where I was saying that this is my new high, 15-minute strong high, because we had the boss here. So once we have the boss over here, so this will be, let's put it, 15-minute strong high. So once we have the 15-minute strong high over here, what is the internal telling us? Internal at this point in time, we had the internal eyeballs break. This makes this low, the 15-minute swing low, and the 15-minute internal strong, right? Because this is breaking. Now we have a misalignment. We have a bearish swing leg, but we have the internal, which is bullish, right? So at this point in time, you really don't want to be trading when the structures are misaligned. So you want to be trading somewhere over here when you have the both internal and the swing structure aligned, and I will tell you why. So for example, if we are bearish, price comes over here, and then we have some reaction over here, price moves up over here, and then gives us a break, this break over here. Then we have the internal aligned with the swing structure, and then we can take this straight down. That will be a lot more probability than me trying to take a pro internal against the swing structure, because we never know when will price start moving downwards, because the high time frame excuse me, trumps the lower time frame. So having said all of that, and let me get rid of this, I was not interested in looking for longs really. Once this broke, this became the opposite of the swing leg. It became a bullish internal strong. Then, and I'll walk you through this. This became strong. This became another break of structure because it had a good pullback break of structure, which means this area was strong. Price came back and broke this, so this became strong. Then price went up, went down, went up, and broke this. So this became strong again. And again, we have misalignment, right? So we have complete internal misalignment in terms of how you want to get involved in this thing, because the internal is bullish. This last break of structure makes this a strong thing, but the swing is bearish, right? And that is something that I don't want to be involved in. So that was the overall plan, or at least the structure story. And for me, the internal and the swing really did not align or give me a story to get involved into a trade. But you know, if we get clear alignment, just like I showed you right now, right? So we have the internal, which is sort of going up like this, going up like this, going up, and then going up, and then it breaks internal structure and then goes into some sort of a supply zone over here, and then it fell. This area is much more higher probability because we are in direct alignment with the swing structure, and then we are also in the premium to sell. We are well priced to sell, right? Even though we are coming in from a supply on the daily and coming into the extreme, because the pullback could be a little deeper, right? Now, if price suddenly starts breaking this, then our entire structure story changes, and then we remap everything, our internal and our external, and then go from there. Hopefully that made sense. If it did, please do like and subscribe, and we'll catch you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.